Welcome everyone. I'm MJ Alcock-Hill, board president of your Desert Hot Springs Historical Society, and I want to welcome you today. We have quite an event for you. This is art of the past, present, and art supplies for the artist of the future. I want to thank, first of all, the DHS, Desert Hot Springs Palletiers group. They are no longer, but they have donated so many of the items that, along with some very generous artists I'm going to tell you about, to our sale today to help us, and we are so grateful. And there's a file in our archives on this, so we have a lot more to tell now. So I want to also thank the Archives Committee, Marge Snell, give us a wave, Brenda Ray, Jim Judy Bowman. They have put together this event, and they have been working tirelessly for months to come out and give you this wonderful show today. And there are some other artists that I'm going to mention at the end, along with one really important photographer I'm going to tell you about. Before I do that, I want to thank our Garden and Restoration Committee and Larry Peters. He has donated milkweed and fresh basil to you. Please, your last stop is the garden, and he's really done an amazing job with his garden club. So I want to recognize the garden club. I want to recognize Mission Springs Water District, and they have a booth today. They are providing you with water. It'll be your first stop after the event.
I don't think they were able to make it today. We do have water from them now.
Okay, so we're thanking them for their water. They had another event or another commitment. They couldn't make it, but we are thanking them because they are a sponsor of every single one of our events with their wonderful water. And I want to recognize the Friends of the Library. They are a sponsor of ours. They've got a booth as well, and they've got books, and they have helped us. So let's give the thank you so very much. Most of all, I want to thank Lois Scott. Lois Scott is Mrs. Tom Scott. She was a Palletier member along with Scott, and she has donated Tom Scott's photography to help our association and for your pleasure. So I would like Lois. Tom's daughter also, Sharon, is here. Tom Scott. So, I love history, so I'm going to talk to you just for a minute. So, Tom Scott was born in Mississippi. He and his wife had 2 daughters, Tammy and Sharon, and 4 grandchildren. Tom was a business administrator by profession, but he would go, does this sound familiar, on RV trips, and he'd do his photography. Later on, he retired, and he has photographed Desert Hot Springs, Joshua Tree, and you'll see some photographs all up in the high desert. Beautiful, beautiful photography. His artwork is sold locally in hotels, gift shops, and if you visit the Miracle Springs Hotel, you'll see his photography on the walls. So Tom Scott was an award winner through the Palletiers Club here in Desert Hot Springs, and he's just had a lot of acclaim here in the valley. So Tom Scott is really the classic photographer. Desert Hot Springs located, and you'll get to see his work after the show today, after the presentation. There's another artist in Desert Hot Springs that we're also welcoming posthumously, Buzz Gamble. Buzz is no longer, but his cartoons are still here. And Buzz did a lot of work for our soup suppers. He donated work to the Women's Club. He worked with the Palletiers, and he is honored here today with coloring pages. You don't have to be a child to color. So go out there and have a little fun, be a child, and color Buzz Gamble's coloring books. Buzz was one of our Desert Hot Springs entrepreneurs. He owned a t-shirt company called T-Boutique, custom t-shirt shop, if anybody remembers that. It's no longer, but that was how he made money in addition to being an artist. I'm an art major, so I kind of know how that is. So he was influenced by Little Abner, who was created by Al Capp and Walt Disney. So those are the kind of artwork that you will see in his work. And all that is outdoors, but before, you're going to learn all about Cabot and his artwork. We have today Irene Rodrigues, who's almost been at Cabot's for 10 years. Let's give her a big hand. She is director of Cabot's, and she is going to talk about Cabot and his art.
Thank you for everybody for coming today and being part of this special day about learning about art that's so part of everybody's life, especially here in Desert Hot Springs. And this was a really wonderful presentation to get ready because I was able to go through the different archives that we have in our collection and really reconnect with some of the early drawings or sketches of Cabot Yerxa. So you see one here, this is one of the sketch, and that was done in 1896. So he was about 13 years old. So he really started to draw. Could you hit the next one? And another one here. This for me is for Cabot, also represented. He could always start something new, right? You can see for the sketches, he's always sign his name on his sketches or his drawings, his paintings. But he also continued to draw and sketch and paint wherever he went. So I don't know if you realize that also Cabot, at the age of 16, he traveled to Nome, Alaska, right, in 1900. Oh, the other I wasn't done yet. So, and that's just something that he did when he was in Nome, Alaska. So I always share, it's like, imagine going to Alaska, which was not even a state yet, at 16 years old, by yourself. I was very adventurous, very curious, and he also made a lot of friends, especially with indigenous people in Alaska as well. But you can see where his artwork. So by that time, he was 16, 17. He left to Alaska when he was 16, but he turned 17 by the time he arrived because it took him 30 days to get to Nome, Alaska from Seattle, Washington.
Wow.
So yeah, it's like really determined number. So next slide, please. So I also wanted to highlight some of his friends. So when Cabot came here as a homesteader in 1913, he probably left the area around 1918. He was a wonderful friend of Cabot Yerxa. And Cabot Yerxa did a lot of landscapes of the desert, and you'll be able to see some of his drawings and paintings at the Palm Springs Art Museum. They have his collection. So he was one of the good friends. There is an journal that Cabot wrote. They went out to the desert, to draw and paint. They loved to paint together because they didn't talk while they were painting, so they were doing anything. And they almost got lost in a sandstorm. So yeah, Merry Christmas happened to go. So, and then another different point is Cabot Yerxa was from Germany, and he is the first white person that's actually buried in the Kabila Cemetery in Palm Springs. So yes, they have that connection. I don't know the connection, but it was obviously one that they appreciated. And then here's Cabot, that you see in here in the middle, and that's Bob Proctor. So he's another artist friend of Cabot, and they would travel together. They even traveled to Grand Canyon together as well. So just a little information that artists have to hang around and be around other like artists and be influenced. The next slide, please. Okay. And this is something to think, what do we start and what do we need, right? We need our paint box, we need our even our charcoal under the we have. And he will also paint in different sizes and everything that he could come to his in his hands. It could be a piece of paper, it could be on his journal. But this is a small size. You see there's this landscape. I've not be like a postcard size, really like a lot of landscape, like sketches. I did bring one. This is have not been seen by a lot of people. This painting of the desert scape is done by Cabot Yerxa. Okay, and then this is the homestead years that you see. So he came, I don't even know why he came here to this area to homestead. So he came because his family had a Certix grove in Riverside. And in 1913, there was a very freeze in January that affected the whole crops. That not any of the growers didn't know until March when they were harvesting that the fruit was not a good harvest. And so many people, including the Yerxas, lost their livelihood. So again, going with the spirit of Cabot Yerxa, what do we do next? Find something else. So Bob Carr, his friend, encouraged them to come and homestead in this area. So this is another it's a pen sketch that he did of his friend Bob's car. And of course, here we have sort of the 7 bump trees. And this is Merry Christmas. That's really nice. So that was his donkey that he got around Christmas time, so he named it Merry Christmas. And he purchased it for $10. So it's about 300 or so in dollars today. So, and this is a good size too. I would say it's about this size, maybe about 14. We do have it in the museum. You can see now that's paint, acrylic paint. Let me see. The next one. He was a frame maker on that. So, and this is just one. We have different ones that he was sent to his friends, and being now at the museum, I could not recognize his paintings, but definitely I started to recognize his style of writing. So I knew if this was really Cabot's or it's not. So I had the opportunity to have an intern over the summer to help me go to the collections. And it was, no, I don't think this is Cabot's. It doesn't look quite right. No, this is it. So again, you have he said that. It's a little note, you have the stars and you have the moon peeking out, again, the palm tree, the ranch, and Cabot Yerxa's trading post. And then this, as we got into portraitures. So again, he really loved the arts, and he figured out. It took me a long time to appreciate this particular one, the Shanghai. It isn't that he's not skillful. He has some talent. It's just also drawing people and drawing portraitures and body. It's not an easy skill to acquire. It takes a lot of practice. But just over the years, every time I look at it, I have a different appreciation of what he did of those portraitures. She did that one. And I wanted to also point out this one with the women in which that one was probably done in France. So Cabot had the opportunity to travel. He traveled all over the world. In 1925, he went to Europe and he spent some time in Paris, France, where he actually took classes at the Julian Academy of Arts there. So, and that's one of those paintings that he did. This one's another one interesting that actually we used to have a history committee at the Cabot Museum, and they did a lot of research, and this is a lot of research that we still have work done for today, that they discovered this particular painting on eBay. So that's like, yeah, and we do have it in the trading post, and his this is a painting that they found, they're able to purchase. Again, the whole landscape. He actually had a lot of friends that were indigenous people, even from the place that he would travel. After 1918. So that you see again, very different. You could tell the perspective that he brings in, the different colors that he uses, what's in the background and what's in the foreground as well. Any questions at this moment? This was, we don't, you go next one, Angie. This one was an instrument that I discovered. Again, it is done by Cabot. We don't have a date for it, and we don't know where it is. But I thought it was very interesting, the type of art that he did. And again, he was a very curious person, and we really loved to develop different friendships. And so that's why I think he liked to observe people and taking them apart. I don't know exactly where this is. Any guesses where this might be? It's just something new that's coming up. It's really, this one's really sweet. I really like this.
Did he ever travel to Mexico?
He did travel to Mexico. So when he went to Europe, he took a ship, and so he went through Mexico to Central America to Panama, and then he went into Europe, which he actually went to England and Spain. And then in his journal, he has all these little sketches that you see one of those, but you'll see what he saw and sketched in Mexico as well. So he was in Paris, in France. Again, we all know this because he kept a journal, right? He kept a journal when he went to Alaska, and he kept a journal on his travels to Europe. And so he was in 1925. But again, I love when he does his journals because he was really descriptive. He always had these little sketches throughout. And then I really like sort of this model, which I think is the same one that you see in this painting, right? That he did. Huh? Oh, Takalali. So that's something that he did, and then all his journals that you see from he traveled from Europe, they're like this, right? Really descriptive with different sketches that you see. I also wanted to include in the arts not only what his paintings were, but he was also a writer, right? And so in this journal, he was able to be in France when there was the International Exposition of Decorative Arts and Modern Industries in 1925. And some of this and more information that you could get is we were lucky, one of our former board members, she actually wrote a whole article for Palm Springs Slide. So this is in the issue of April 2020 in the Palm Springs Slide that you get more access. But just his observations again of what he saw and hear. He noted again all the different countries that participated. You had Great Britain, you had Brazil, you had Switzerland, you had Sweden, and he also put a descriptive there that unfortunately the US wasn't part of that group to display everything that was happening inside that exposition that was happening in France. And then he was a writer too. And so you can see that he did something about history heart of mine. And then you can see what he was also experienced, what he was writing. He would write different notes to Portia as well. And so I made sure that we included this. And he loved the desert as well. And I didn't want to forget the museum, right? Because he also built the museum, the whole thing that he did, sort of also designing it. He has sketches of it, how he planned to design the pueblo. Those sketches don't match what was actually built, but at least he had an idea, he thought about it. Everything that you see in the pueblo, again, is very intentional that we have here. And again, reusing everything that he found here in the area of Bristol Hot Springs. And then I just wanted to share this. This is a new discovery that just happened 2 weeks ago. So somebody contacted us who they have photographs of their grandparents who happen to be these two individuals, okay, that knew Cabot. And they're helping them build the pueblo. I don't think this is actually the pueblo though. So she has different photographs. She has, this is one that you can see them in action. She is still going through different boxes, and she is coming in a few months to really go through those photographs of her grandparents and maybe determine what it is. I did ask her, because again, the importance of what the Historic Society does and what we do at the museum is making sure that we always guard our history and we keep these documents. It's like, how do you make sure that these photographs weren't lost or thrown away, right? And she said she's sort of the keeper of the photographs in the whole family. So I encourage you, like, if you're not the keeper of photographs or the history of family, make sure you find somebody, because this is I think a find for us. And again, I also found this other sketch that you see is a wagon wheel and it's done by Cabot. And it's interesting, it's a wagon wheel. Yeah, so that's what makes it interesting. Yeah.
And now you can see the house.
So there is a building that we have at the museum that has a round window, but it's not the wagon wheel window, so it'll be interesting. And unfortunately, we do not have these sketches. Those sketches were again, I mentioned the history committee, one of the individuals actually during her research discovered who Cabot's granddaughter was. She actually made a special trip to meet her at that time. Lori was living in Hawaii. She went to Hawaii and was able to just take photographs because it was really fragile. But I saw this and then I saw the photographs, so interesting to sort of know a little bit more about what we're going to discover about these individuals who have Cabot, and see how later contact the family members of Yerxa to see how we could also maybe have those sketches donated to the foundation.
Wow, wonderful.
Yeah, isn't it? It's like, oh, this is a new find. So always told, to me it's a lesson of make sure you have somebody that's the caretaker of your family history so it really stays intact.
Irene, did they know the year that photograph?
These, yes, this is like 1947, 1948. So yeah, so that's what she was able to share with me in the pictures. There was another photo. There was another gentleman which we can't identify. It doesn't look like Cabot, but it'll be interesting to see all the photos once she brings in to identify what area it's at, and then what were they doing. It'd be interesting, right? Examining each photograph, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, this is really exciting. Oh, and that's it. Any questions?
What did he use for travel?
What do you mean?
Well,
What?
how did he go from one place to the other? By ship or?
Yes, he went by ship too. He traveled abroad. He did go by ship, and he didn't go like when he went to Europe and to Mexico. He did go by ship, and again, he was very resourceful, and he didn't like to really spend a lot of money. So even in the ship, he got the steerage level. Yeah, he was gonna make sure his money really lasts a long time for that. So that's what he did. And when he was here in Desert Hot Springs area, he probably walked and he had his donkey. That was his homestead years. But when he returned to the area in the late 1930s, he did have an automobile. I don't know what type of automobile, but that's his base again on his journals when he describes how we go from area to area. Yeah. That's all the information we have of how he traveled. That's all we know. Anything else? Yes,
I think he said it took him 30 days to travel from the States to Alaska. Did he travel by ship or
By ship.
overland?
by ship. They
Okay.
went to ship. So at that time, he was living in Minneapolis, and he traveled to Minneapolis to Seattle, where he was waiting for a shipment to come from Chicago, and he almost missed his ship. So to go into Alaska. He was a very adventurous person.
Did he live with the Inuit tribe for a while?
He did. He lived with the Inuit tribe. He was really good friends, and he lived with the Inuit people because at one point he got frostbite, and so the Inuit people actually were taking care of him at that time.
What about the cigar store?
Oh, the cigars.
That's one of my favorite.
We were talking about art. That's another topic about cigars.
Let's give Irene a room. Haven't been to Cabot, you're going to learn about the cigars.
Yeah.
So that's your task, is to